Lovely day, very productive, nice, and interesting. So I thought I'll come and do some surveys to my friends if they have any questions or any problems or anything I could clarify or answer, whatever, right? So I was attending uh AI in Business Summit, and how many things are happening in uh, AI summits is extraordinary because people are inventing and discovering so many things that we could do better service and we could do more efficiently and we could survive economically and all that, right? Since 3 days away, summit, the second day I finished it daily like at 10 o'clock till 2 o'clock. Okay, that's like a 3 4 hours I think, but very engaging, very interesting, and I was busy following all of that. um, some of them I know, some of them I introduced, and the pace with which these things are going is breathtaking, and uh, they're supposed to be uh, you know complete domination by the computers by the end of this year, I believe. So I don't see any surprise in that because it is really happening. But what I found for myself is it kind of liberates me with a lot of time because the research I can do, the news I can do. So many apps that are pretty good. I already using, and they have shown me more uses. Right. So I was delighted. For example, when I'm talking and all that. If I use Descript eye contact, then all the video that I make will have eye contact, even though I can read papers on the screen and all that. So that was something improvement I discovered today. So I'm going to implement that in the videos I make, right? So so here, if anybody has any questions or any comments or anything that you want to add to discussion, please come up and we'll talk about it. I just was in Cecilia's room and came from there, and so Sheila does a very dedicated job. She was on the train, but still she is trying to come and do her room and give joy to a lot of people. So we are very proud of Cecilia and the way she does everything, very dedicated. You know. So Melissa, thank you for greetings. Uh, See, I was telling her something about a simple measure to see where we are, not judging us or anything, but are we what spiritual or materialistic? Not that materialistic is bad or spirituality is very very good or anything. It's a combination. I think we all are. But what is the predominance? So it is about closing the eyes and opening the eyes. Um, I read that in a spiritual talk where from the India, they were talking about these monks who were basically judging themselves to be bad and they have these material tendencies, or the people who are spiritual, they're very egotistical. That is got to them too. They become big shots and all. But actually, with spirituality, come down to being a human being a normal. That helped me a lot in my career as a physician because when I see my patients, I don't put myself on top of that. I may have a professional knowledge that is required because I spent years trying to learn and also continue to learn. That's something we are required to know about our job and then provide services accordingly. Hi, Alka. How are you? So it's a kind of uh, very simple measure. Okay, suppose you close your eyes and you have a lot of agitation, lack of peace, then when you open your eyes, you say, "Oh, world, do something for me. Somebody do something for me." That is kind of materialistic attitude, but not recognize the inner peace, inner spirituality we have. But if you are spiritual, when you close your eyes, you come upon this peace already there because your mind is quiet. You are not aspiring anything. And then when you open your eyes, you ask the question, what can I do to improve life on any scale? What can I do for somebody else? Or what can I do for my institution like that? I think that's a very healthy attitude. Finding our own inner abundance, we don't have the need for demanding from the world. Rather, we will want to improve the world. So that is a very, you can believe God, you can believe in particular faith, that's all your personal matter. But in spirit, how are you? Are you peaceful? Are you giving? Are you really enjoying your life? And there is joy in your life and all that, right? Whereas if you are really do not worry about the inner riches or spiritual nature, then you are always running after things that may not be meaningful for you, right? Then what happens? That becomes a real problem, right? So that kind of things are there. And then you will be unhappy, no peace inside. By the way, I wrote an article on this inner peace because uh, I do read and follow J. Krishnamurti, right? G. 2 Krishnamurti. He wrote a book about this peace and all that. So I was reading that recently, and then I knew what he was talking about. Right? One time he was gathered by his disciples and they said, Sir, what is your secret? And then he said, You want to tell me, you want to know my secret? Yeah. Then they are all very eager to know what is going on. He said, No matter what happens, good or bad, I never mind them. Somebody said, I don't care. No, he didn't, said, I don't care. He cares deeply about earth, about people, about their suffering. He cares deeply, very, very deeply. But he said he don't mind anything that's happening to him. That because he doesn't have any ego. Okay, so that is a kind of peace he was talking about. He was talking about quieting the mind, ending the thought, and not that you become stupid or not that become you idiot or anything like that, but really understanding where thought is good and needed and where thought becomes a problem. I think that's a very important contribution people have to pay attention to because the thought that is going on automatically, if you allow it to go like that without really ending when it is not needed, then it can form neurological pathways. We call them highways of thought. They will be uh, fortified by repeating them unconsciously or consciously. If you do consciously for a particular skill, that becomes very good training for the practice the music practice singing or any of those things or learning a technique in any field. Okay, that becomes important. But if you be using that to imagine problems or anxiety or negativity, they become the negative part. And then even if you don't do anything, you just allowed it to build up, build up, build up. That's what happens in the geriatric population. We see sometimes they complain to us, I can't stop recalling all these old things, but I don't remember what happened yesterday. That's a very common thing we do. But some people are really worried about this uh, lack of peace because of the continued thoughts coming in, going on, and then lot of years ago something happened, somebody hurt them, somebody insulted them, and they catch on to that, and then it's coming on, it's bothering them, my own sister, she has that problem, she's 82-year-old, and she has that problem. I helped her not to be in thought mode, but to be in the your conscious being mode. That means you are really in that your real energy that is animating your brain, your thought, and animating your body. Okay, if you can be abide in that self, they call it, but it's a bigger self, right? It's like a trace of the divinity within us, that gives us this animation. So if you can stay in that energy, then you won't be running with this unnecessary thoughts. So basically, you see a tree. This is the description Krishnamurti gave in one book. You see a tree, and then you find this marvelous, beautiful, staying alone there, and then you see the form of it, you see the greenness of it, whatever. You find it beautiful. So enjoy it for the moment, okay? And then when you're walking or even when you're enjoying it, what we do normally, we compare it to something else we have seen, or we want it to be different way, this way. It would be nice. How somebody described the trees like this in some novel or some poetry book, and then you want to compare this. No, then you are missing the moment with this tree, right? And then after you have seen and enjoyed and going away, we try to recollect it, recall it, and establish it in our mind to do that. You have experienced the tree, end it. That's how you don't want to clog your mind with unnecessary thought. This is very important. Is this information age with information overload, which I talk about all the time. What you want to do is you want to be aware of this movement of thought. And if you are unconscious about it, then you are asking for trouble. But if you are conscious about the movement and watch it, remember I talk about this in the morning practice, morning routines that we are doing. Four things you do. One is stretch your body. Number two is breathe into it. Number three is really be in the present. And number four is watch the thoughts. Don't indulge or don't suppress them. Watch the thought. If you can do these four with me in the morning routine, which I call like a you do awareness and alignment of three things: body, breath, and brain. And carry that into the day where you are paying attention to everything that's happening and then finishing up. That's my key is I think about a certain matter. I focus on that particular thing that's going on, what thoughts needed, but then I end it after that is done. Like I see a patient, I see the patient history and everything because it's relevant to the medical care, and then talk to him, make plans, and give the plans and everything, and then I have another patient coming in. When I go to the patient, the tactic is just pay complete attention to this patient also. Don't bring the previous patient into that. Very hard, very difficult, but that's the same in any job. Whatever job you are doing, if you are in flow, that means you don't have this unconscious movement of thought, but your attention is completely focused on what you are doing. That is actually very um, rejuvenating to you because you are not wasting your energy with unnecessary thoughts. That has become a habit, that has become a bad habit, really. That so much information coming in, everybody reacting to lots of things. By the end of the day, they have the brain fog or they are overload of the information, and then they feel exhausted because thoughts are powerful. They take a lot of energy from you. You are depleting your energy by indulging in unnecessary thought. Get it? So that's pay attention to that, and you will be happy. So spirituality can be measured by how your mind is inwardly when you close your eyes. You don't have to judge yourself. Just see what it is, and then when you open your eyes, you want to do something to life, to anybody, to the world. Okay. So that's it's not a sermon or anything. I'm just giving a tactic of how to keep our mind fresh and nice, And also, you don't have to tell anybody how do you feel inside or how do you do what. It's just a people who are on the spiritual pathway are very peaceful because they have left all the worldly things like that. You can do it on a daily basis too. Anyway, I enjoy that peace. I enjoy that clarity. I enjoy that ending the thought. That's what Krishnamurti was talking about. He wrote a book by that title too. If you want to go and check it out, Ending the Thought. Okay. And that's a big book, but very, very nice book, I think. But those books are not books written by him, some of them. His talks, his actual live interactions with people. He traveled 60 years all over the world except the communist countries. And he talked to prime ministers, talked to kings, talked to ordinary people, and all that. Another book I really like in this context is Commentaries on Living, uh, I think number three. There are three books: one, two, three. Number three has a lot of people coming to Krishnamurti and trying to talk with him about their problem, and that were recorded. And usually, each talk preceded by a small meditation, and then the actual talk as it happened. For example, a woman comes to Krishnamurti. She has raised three sons and they became elders now, and then they became, doing their own successful journey through the life. But uh, she says they have lived, they have made their own living, they are making money and all that, but there is no greatness in them. They weren't really thinking about something bigger than them, and they were contributing. In that, they don't have the greatness. Then Krishnamurti exposes all this conditioning people go through, that only to make a living as though their thing, and also when they make a living, they don't stop it. They get into the accumulation of things and all that, but never really look inside, have a self knowledge, and then understand deeper questions of life. See, that's why I like ancient wisdom. Ancient wisdom does teach you about how to develop your skills and do them in the service of God. That's all fine, music, but also what is life? What is the significance of human life? What happens to us after going? They said to turn our mind inward, antarmukha they call it, and realize that abundance in our chit ambara. That means inward room in our mind. Once you are there, and then you can not do it with the senses or intellect, which are outgoing, but with your intuitive feeling of awareness, you can feel that inner abundance, right? And then ancient said that that's why a lot of lives are about improving themselves, providing for themselves, or accumulating for themselves because of the insecurity. But the spiritual mind that is secure in this knowledge, in this abundance, doesn't need anything. And that's why what they said, first realize yourself, Atma Mokshardham. That is first you do that. And then Jagat Hitaya. Once you have realized, once you have found that abundance, not imagination, but you kind of touch it. And then that is where the spiritual practice happens. But once you are in that, established in your real essence, real self, or what you can call, whatever you can call soul, you can call Atman, you can call energy, you can call consciousness, you can call self. All these things are used in the spiritual discourses by many, right? And if you can realize that, then you have nothing but to give. So Jagat Hitayacha means Jagat means world. Hitayacha means for the benefit, for the welfare of the world. you come out and contribute. You're not asking anything in return because you already abundant. So that is the great thing about the ancients world. They turned inward with a meditative awareness. They discovered the truths of the universe in a major way. They were not looking for any propaganda, or they were not looking for any fame or anything like that. They discovered something and they lived it. They were purified, they were really focused, and they were able to touch this abundance, and they were happy, and then they went out and helped. Doctors didn't have charge in this ancient era. Teachers did not charge. They are happy just to give. I think if we catch that tradition a little bit, I think we're well off. Okay. So all my public talks are in that spirit. Okay. What can we give? How can we contribute? How can we really help somebody's unhappiness or anything to resolve the suffering? That's my natural tendency, right? As a physician, whenever somebody walks into it, they come in physical pain or mental anguish or deep hurt in the heart, or they are confused. They don't know what is spirituality, what is the how the world has become away from that, and where is the real peace. So when we see all that, I don't want anything from them. I just want to be there so that I can ease that. Who inspired me on this? Ramana Maharshi. He said he attained self-realization at the age of 6, and then he went away from home to Arunachala, and he stayed there almost 50 years or 60 years, whatever. And he never visited any other place. He was just around that hill, and he was there. But now, 6 continents. He was right in 6 continents, and some of them are really serious too. It kind of helps where psychology fails, where religion fails, where philosophy fails, where all the countries, nationalism, and all these things they fail. But individual by himself can turn inward and do it. So he was always receiving people, and there was no fee, nothing, and he didn't ask what they are, have to be this to talk. He talked to everybody, even small animals to big animals and all that, right? He talked to the sparrows, talked to the king cobras, talked to the monkeys and all that. But one trait he always had was he was always doing something for others, never anything for himself, right? And actually, he kind of resisted when the ashram, the people who are running the ashram tried to do or ask for donations or anything. He did, right? You don't have to follow certain particular caste or particular way of spiritual living, none of it. See, other places you go, they say you got to get up at 5 o'clock. You got to do this, that, this, and all that. The kind of spiritual disciplines they say that. But Ramana Maharshi never did that. All those years that he received people, big and small, he kind of gave. So all his life was about giving something to somebody. So he lived the life like that. He kind of gave food to dogs that were there in the ashram before he ate. Other thing is, he was always sitting with a large crowd, like sometimes 50, 100 people are there. Then he will be outdoors and talking to them. And I think one of the European writers who was there, he saw Robert Bashi kind of malnourished, and he needs some good food. Like, so he brought some oranges, and he squeezed the oranges by themselves and made a glass of orange juice and gave it to him. Come, drink it. And he said, I don't drink it unless you give it to all these people who are sitting here. So he had to go back and bring in a big bag of oranges, and there was no electrical thing or anything. And he squeezed all of them and then gave the juice to everybody. Only at the last turn, Ramana Maharshi accepted. This was his tendency. He sat with so many people at the lunchtime, And if they give him more than what they gave to other people, he would not be happy about it. So he would only take whatever everybody is taking, and only after they ate, he ate. So that kind of spirit of giving, that kind of really concern about other people, I think we should really learn that. I kind of try to do that, but not to his degree probably, but at least I remember that how he was doing. Very great inspiration for me in that. Okay, it's not like a modern times when me first have to accumulate for my future. I have insecurity. I cannot give it to him because they are not my tribe. All these divisive factors we bred in our mind. Be aware of them and go away from it and try to contribute to the life. That's what he said. And that's what he lived and showed us. Not he did not even say it. He lived and did that. Okay. Another story is he was sleeping in bed and all that, and but there is an attendant just outside his room, just in case the old man may require to go to bathroom, something like that. He didn't ask, they were there because they kind of worship him, right? So what happened? He always told people, "Don't close my room's door. Keep it open, because we don't know which soul becomes like that, and then they will be coming for aid. So when they come here, we should be able to really help them." So even in winter, when it is cold, because next to the hill and all that, he would not allow them to close the door. So they kept it inside, but the attendant slept outside. Then in the middle of the night, the attendant heard something from the room, and Ramana Maharshi was talking to somebody. So he leaned in and looked at who it was. There is a 6 feet king cobra was there in front of him. And Ramana Maharshi was talking to him, "Please go away, because if they see you, they will kill you. You know, please go away." Then the cobra slid away from the room. Fantastic story for me when I heard that. See, look at the self-effacing thing. Look at unselfish act all the time. So that kind of great monks and sages were there in ancient times, and unfortunately, a lot of that wisdom is not followed in our life. And this is one quality: give, contribute to life, make it better. When you are secure with this abundance that we have, that is what it is. We don't turn inward and discover that, or even try to discover that inner abundance. If you do that, you don't need anything, because your stomach is full, your cup is full. Why do you have to put it out begging, right? So I'm happy I shared that with you, because every time I share, it becomes concrete in me. You know, I kind of revisit the whole thing. I kind of fortified in that. Okay. Brian, how are you? Melissa, Dr. Robert, Heather, and Jennifer, Scott, Wendy. These are all the friends that are visiting on the Noom Boy. Andrea, Michael, Emily, Akina, and Rachel, Judith, Christopher. Okay, nice of you be here. And Alka is here on the clubhouse. Jacob came and he left again. So, so I'm kind of blabbering all that came to my mind, but basically I'm saying about test the spiritual quotient by just closing your. You don't have to report to anybody. You don't have to judge yourself. Just test it. Is there peace when I close my eyes? Am I quiet? Is the movement of thought has really stopped? Or am I thinking about a lot of things? Am I worried about things? Am I concerned about things? Am I fearful about losing something? All that. Okay. You don't need it as a human being. You have the intelligence to really discover your own inner abundance of peace, joy, and happiness. This doesn't come just with knowledge. but with the experiential knowledge it will come, and then that will lead to inner peace and joy and wisdom. That will reflect in your daily life, how you treat other people with love and compassion. And also, you'll be proactively well because you are peaceful inside, that will reflect on outside. Okay. But if you are driven by conditioning of the society that you have to accumulate all these things, you have to do all these things, then sooner or later you will discover this is not it. I won't get anything out of this. That is, they describe it as a purusharthas, dharma, artha, kama, moksha. You see, you can live. Ardha means riches, right? You can go and get a technique or and then learn a skill and go and make living, and you can accumulate a lot of knowledge. You can accumulate a lot of riches of properties or bungalows and all that. But then, the more you accumulate, the more you will have a problem of losing it, and or somebody stealing it. All those things are there. And also, you got to make that accumulation of the wealth in a righteous way, not by cheating people, not by taking their things. Okay. And then that's so righteous way is the first one. Whatever you do, you can do this accumulation of wealth and all that. That's the artha. Kama is a desire. You can have desires, innocent desires or natural desires and all that. But if you are only like a pleasure, for example, if you are seeing 10 movies at a time, you don't feel like going again, right? Like that. Whatever desires you fulfill. However, some of my friends, they go to so many restaurants in the India and send me vlogs on that, and that experience is limited, and it is never to lead to the inner abundance I'm talking about. So you can have all the education, you can have all the skills, you can accumulate a lot of things, but still you feel like even Nobel laureates feel like after Nobel laureate thing has come to them, 18 of them committed suicide because they didn't know what else to do. They lost their interest now. They became very depressed too. So in a way, the second of artha, which is the riches, and kama, which is the desire. However much you do, you would be fulfilled. Even if you fulfill temporarily, that goes away. So that's why the genius of ancient wisdom came up with what's called moksha. Moksha means liberation, freedom from your own mind. And then it's not like you go die and then you go to some heaven and there is moksha. No, in this life, in here, you can have freedom from your own chattering, unnecessary mind. That itself is the peace. The peace is there, but this unnecessary movement of thought we develop, we are nurturing, we are fortifying the highways of thought by being unconscious about that. So, be in the present means be conscious about what is happening within you and outside you. Okay. So I talked a lot. If it has made any sense or any questions, please come up and ask me. I would like to have a dialogue on this, rather than I live my life this way. I told you, but it's wonderful to be a human being and to be able to turn inward and discover these riches that are there. You see, I had an argument with one of my GI friends here in town. He makes the largest amount of money in the town, and he charges so much. So he's full of ego and feel like I have so much. So one time he did something that's not right. I told this lady has something that I told for the upper GI only. She is a young woman. She has nothing, right? But she was having a brother who had a familiar polyposis, which is a deadly condition. When you see that, family members will be examined, and if they have the polyposis, we'll do the colectomy, right? So with that history, I sent her just for the colonoscopy, and he does upper, lower, all that, unnecessary, and then charges a lot for that. So I confronted him because it's my patient. I said to him, I thought he did something not covered, and I inquired him, what is the need of doing the upper GI in this patient? He has no symptoms whatsoever. Upper GI is completely normal, came out, and why could he use his clinical judgment to before he goes to the invasion of that? She was sent there for polyposis in the colon, and he is supposed to do only colonoscopy inside, and he was not answering me, and he was saying, oh, I have that much, this much, I have this many costs. Who cares? I don't care how much he has. I'm not afraid of anything like that. And then he was stumped because I asked him, he was telling me about his cars and buildings and all. I said, do you know what are inner riches? Do you experience any of them? He was stumped because he was always restless. He was always going for approval. He was always going to make more money and all that. And also, he had to drink. He had to do things to calm himself and all that. I said, you don't need any of that. If you are pure in your mind, if you're focused in your mind, if you turn the mind inward, you will discover your inner riches that are there. And they are much more fulfilling. Actually, they call them forever fulfilling activities, right? So that is the greatness of the spirituality that was expounded by our ancients much more. And later on, we lost it because we went off the prophets, we went off the ego. These two phenomena in the Western culture has produced tremendous suffering, stress, burnout, suicide, increased mental health problems are a lot of them, right? And also chronic diseases and so much suffering. We see it all the time. What are we doing about it? Okay, it's not that you have to take a monkhood and go, but just understand, be intelligent about what is mind, what is thought, how does it go on its own, why we are not able to understand all this scientific breakthroughs. Why? Because it has to be experiential. If I describe it, that's only a description for you. But if you go and investigate inwardly, that is experiential knowledge. That is what is needed. Okay. All right. With all that, I'm happy I came and talked to you about all this, and I was able to remember certain people like J. Krishnamurti and Ramana Maharshi and Vivekananda and all that. Okay. Uh, I feel I'm blessed by exposure to these people. Hope you can also find your own people that were like that, and then get the blessings in the way of knowing these things and exhibiting in our life and being peaceful, inwardly. Okay. So with that, I will. Anybody want to come? I'm going to be here for a few minutes if you want. Otherwise, I will take leave and I will come back whenever I have the time. Somebody is trying to come up. And the new wife of Melissa. She always comes up. That's nice, Melissa. Hi, Melissa.
Hey, Dr. How are you?
I am great. How are you?
I'm well. I really liked what you were saying about how we are supposed to share
Yeah.
the love of others, and yeah, I don't come up because what you say. I'm just trying to soak it all in. You have so much wisdom that you share with us. Can you tell me what you meant by like turning your mind inward? You were talking about how
Yeah.
we can that state of like
Yeah.
quieting that noisy chatter that it's
Yeah.
in our mind. Can you tell me more about that?
Yeah, when you wake up first thing in the morning, usually that's when it is quiet, right? So, what is going on within you in terms of thoughts, feelings, or regrets, or all that is happening? We don't really pay attention to them. We let them go. Turning inward means first to familiarize with what is happening within our own mind. So, for that, close your eyes, calm yourself, and then try to see what is happening within you with the thoughts, and later on you will understand what are the reactions I have. how did I feel hurt, how did I feel very happy with all that. All those states we let them go as though they're happening by itself. But then once you start to understand the movement, they slow down, they calm down, and then they lead to you a thoughtless state. That is the meditation really. When you are in the thoughtless state, you experience the peace and joy and wisdom.
Well, you make it sound very easy, Dr.
Yeah,
Rao.
yeah,
It doesn't seem to work that easy for me, but
yeah.
I'm
No,
going to
no.
keep trying.
Don't try for any goal, Melissa. Just to see, like for example, we are talking, right? And we are
Yeah.
talking, we know what we want to talk about, how we want to express. It all is experience we build up, right? Like that. All the we never have the habit of observing the thoughts. See, what happens is thoughts happening to us, we are not happening to the thoughts. So if you are aware of the thoughts, that awareness is the real you. That is the witness of the thoughts. Once you establish yourself in that witness, that's why I tell watch the thoughts, watch the all the time. Then you can have a separation from the thoughts and you, and that's a very healthy thing because you can have a very violent reaction to somebody because they harmed you and then you are very angry. But if you are away from that anger, the anger goes down.
So it's about just being aware.
Yeah.
And like I know you said before, like respond.
Come back, Melissa. I think the timer went out on that. That's the important thing that she is asking, which is not to be understood, but to be grasped, the insight, and don't make a concept out of it. Yeah,
Yeah, so you're saying, and I think you've said this before, that instead of reacting,
yeah,
respond, and
that's
that's
fine.
like
Yeah,
you're aware of the thought, and you're not letting the thought be in control
yeah.
because you're in control, not the thoughts.
I will tell
Is
you
that
how I learned that. As a physician, how I learned that. One incident happened in the clinic. Somebody came and I saw the patient, and the patient had to be drawn blood. Right, the nurse goes, and then she does a good job, but maybe that's not her day, and she kind of did a couple of times, and he felt she hurt him by doing the blood test. So yeah, all my patients have free access to me. So he marched into my exam room, which is the far end of clinic. I have a big clinic, so lab is on one side, I'm on side. He comes barging in and complains, "See, your nurse hurt me. This is a way to draw blood and all." He was livid. Then if I react emotionally with him and go and alert my nurse, that's not justice. But if I go and respond to situation, because I have to pacify my patient, I have to listen to him too, right? Otherwise, what I'm doing. So I told him, okay, let me go and talk to her. What happened? And then I go and ask her. She says, I don't know, something nervous thing happened. That's why I kind of lost him first time. Second time I got it, but he was mad because I took two times to draw the blood. Then I said, okay, just be careful next time. But if you want more education about this or more skills to learn, I will get you to a phlebotomy course or something like that. And I made a positive thing for her. But when I came back and told him that I'm going to be sorry for on her behalf, you should have had this experience, but she didn't mean it, she didn't intend it, and she is normally a good nurse. But this time it happened. We will be more careful next time, and he was satisfied with that. So instead of me reacting like I'm the boss, I'm giving money for her job, and I will go and with the ego, you stupid, don't you have anything? I've seen the other doctors do that. But I kind of didn't want to be reactive like that, but respond to the situation too.
yeah? So like his behavior wasn't happening to you, just
Yeah,
like in front of you.
yeah,
So being able to separate that's
yeah,
that awareness
yeah.
again with the thoughts that we were talking about.
Yeah. If you see in the morning routine, what I say, don't react but respond. In your own morning practice, some things come up, right? Thoughts come up. Then put them away or just observe them, they will go away. Don't react to them immediately. Suppose you react to something your husband said, you kind of feel bad or sad, and that is an emotional reaction. But that is not really now. It happened in the memory, and bring it back, right? That kind of thing you don't want to cultivate and allow it to happen habitually. That's what we are doing. We are reacting to small things also, and then big things also, and it has become very casual. Everybody reacting to everything, and that what it does, it does secrete your stress hormones. It does activate your sympathetic nervous system, which is fight or flight. But that is only for survival, big dangers, not these imagined dangers, not the so-called sentimentality, egoic activity and all that. So you will have less of that kind of reactions through the day. You will save a lot of your energy and also your inner power because you are not depleting it by unnecessary reacting. A lot of people say, "Oh, I am human. I do react." No, no, you are a human who have the capacity to overcome these kind of um, weaknesses are human nature. But you want to be humane. That means you want to elevate yourself from this reactive human being that is more like an animal. So we have this brain that is instinctive, that's reacting like that. That's the limbic system. But over that, we have the cerebral hemispheres, cortex, and everything evolved. That is higher mind. Want to be in that discriminatory about not allowing the lower brain react. So in yoga, the lower brain is called manas. A higher brain is called buddhi. Buddhi is where the your discrimination will come and your pausing about things will come and really controlling the lower because you have evolved from the animal nature of lower brain to the human brain, but we are not using that. I think that's a good question Melissa brought up. So yeah, I will indulge with you in any questions that you have. Don't be hesitant or don't be thinking. A couple of people told me that they don't want to come up because they don't want to interrupt me. No, actually, more things will come out when people come and ask me things. Okay? Otherwise, I'm not here to just to deliver some message or anything, but just to be there as a friend and help. Okay. So as we do this morning practice, which I designed, because I designed it from knowing so many people come with a burnout and stress, right? See, as you know, I'm a physician who practiced, and now after kind of lowering my practice, all that, I have become more of a wellness optimizer, wellness promoter. Wellness not only in the patients, in the family, in the society, but also systems. That's my bigger goal is how can I introduce this wellness into the wellness system so that people don't have to get sick just like that and then become worse after they are infected. If you have a chronic disease, I want to show you how to not to develop the bad outcomes. Okay. But if you are really doing something wrong at the planet level, I want to address that. So it's a kind of wellness. So what I have seen with the people who seek assistance for the burnout and mainly because they are not paying attention their self-care. That means how they take care of their body, how they take care of their mind, how they take care of emotions, and how they take care of their spirit. So once I understood that, I want to give them a morning routine that are four things you do. You stretch your body and take away all the tension, but you deep breathe into it. Number two. Number three is you be in the present. Cultivate that in the morning and carry that like a perfume all day. Okay. And learn the habit of watching the thoughts in the morning itself. Actually, this is the key for me. When I get up in the morning, I don't let my thought network come into vogue right away. I wake up in awareness and hold on to the awareness. And I teach that in my wellness club, the first hour, where I say this is an hour of awareness. That means whatever is happening here, be there. I am like that, and I want my students to be like that. And they are. And then I ask them, take this to the work and pay attention to everything you do. Don't do multitasking. Don't do attention to so many things. Just one thing at a time. Few seconds also. Actually, I accomplish a lot because I'm not fighting different things coming up. I'm not wasting my energy in unnecessary thoughts. Right? So my morning routine is designed with this kind of what is happening through the day, how people are really unconsciously thinking a lot, reacting a lot, and then developing all the stress and also giving stress to other people too. So the culture is built up like that. So and I went to the ancient cultures, they were not like that. They were not neurologically blown people like us. We are anxious, we are depressed, we are committing suicide. As a humanity, we are like a nervous people and neurotic people. More like, don't need to, especially with the information age. I'm an informatician too, so I know what are the uses of information, how it has to be have insight, and then leave the junk out. That we don't learn. We always allow all the negatives, everything come through us, and then the stimuli has become more. Nobody lives here around. Your phone is there, your iPad is there, your computer is there, and so many people you have to work with. As a physician, if I go on one day, I may have to work with 50 people, so many patients, so many relatives, so many insurance agents, so many staff that are working for the patients, administrators. You see, you can see anybody who works in the healthcare setting, they can understand easily. But how I do it is my responsibility. If I allow all the junk to go into my mind and then don't do anything about it, so I said simple thing. Every 1 hour, take 1 minute break deliberately, okay, and then deep breathe. What you practice in the morning, deep breathe, and establish yourself again in that presence of awareness, and then you have avoided a lot of this brain fog that otherwise will occur. So there is a meaning what I'm doing with the morning routine, so that you can develop this inner resilience that you can use when you go on any job, anything that you do. So actually, I have written on the superlative personality by ancient wisdom. That's what I want to kids to understand and young people to understand and old people also look at it. That way, they will live a very fulfilled human life, full of joy and full of uh, productivity and all that. Okay. So I'm glad Melissa came and asked this question. Thank you, Melissa. And I will see you all tomorrow. Join me at 8 Central. That is Indian time of 6:30 p.m. of Central time of 8 a.m. and 6:30 p.m. Because my sister comes to my meditation session at 7 o'clock, and that's why I know for her it's 5:30. So 8 o'clock is 6:30 for India. If anybody wants to come, they can do that. Okay, I will also come in the middle of the day as time permits and check on people whether they are able to do this or any difficulties and all. Not to check on them in the sense of admonition, no, just to reinform them and then make them help them if they have got some suggestions. And also in the evening, are you doing the reflections on that? Okay, so. Anybody else? The last chance. Otherwise, I'll be leaving and then we'll be coming back tomorrow. Okay. Nice to see you, Alka. And I hope you got a lot out of this talk. And I'll see you tomorrow. Bye bye.
gratitude journal years ago. It was one of the most important things she's ever done. The daily practice of writing down 5 things to be grateful for balanced her life in subtle and inspiring ways. It sounds simple, Oprah says, but when you go through the day staying conscious about what you put on your gratitude list, it shifts the lens through which you see the world. And then it goes on to talk about all the different guests in this particular one called Grace and Gratitude. I'll see if I can copy the link, and if so, I will post it for anybody who may be interested. All right, so let's go back to my guests here and to my links, and I will paste this link into the messages.